Hello, one and all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown. With me for the very first time is Jasper William Cartwright. Say hi, Jasper William Cartwright.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining me. I'm such a huge fan of yours. I was first introduced to you via NADPod, where you came in and guest DM'd. I mean, it felt like you had been there the whole time. Just such a I mean, I'm in a couple of Discord servers that talk about NADPod. We still talk about Bev shrinking down and convincing everyone he's the tallest. To this day, so good. Which then, of course, led me to Three Black Halflings and such an incredible show with you and Jeremy. And then I have not. Has Rotating Heroes started under your leadership yet?
The first episode is out. I think probably by the time this comes out, we might be kind of approaching the end of Arc 8, which is the sort of the arc that I've taken over. So, but yeah, it has. The feedback seems to have been pretty good so far. People seem to be enjoying it. We haven't had a mass exodus from the Patreon yet, so I'll take that as a positive sign.
Yeah. I was so excited when I saw the news that it was coming back at all, and then the news that you were taking over was even more exciting. I love your DMing style.
Thank you.
And
that's very kind.
Was really excited. So I have a million questions for you.
Absolutely.
And before we
I'll have to give you some short answers though if we're going to get through a million questions. But I'm willing to give it a try. Great.
So before we get to Burrow's End, because that is obviously sort of the focus here, at least right now. What is it like DMing for Emily Axford?
Oh, it's brilliant. It's incredible. The thing is, everyone always is like, man, Emily just gets them. Emily gets the DM and it's great. And yes, to an extent, that's kind of what happens. But for a DM, when a player just starts sounding off, in my head, I'm like, okay, you're going to break my encounter, but this is so cool. Because I think the best thing that Emily does, and that she said this in an adventuring party, I think one time, and I really genuinely don't think there's a better summation of what she actually does, which is that she will always say, okay, what's the most badass movie moment that I can create right now? That's the bit that she's looking for, and that's what we as DMs are looking for. We want that movie moment of oh, something amazing happened. You know what I mean? Where a player just goes Super Saiyan and does something really cool that busts open the encounter in an entirely different way. So for me, it's genuinely the most fun. And honestly, if anyone wants to see some peak Axford at work, one of the best things I've ever witnessed, I had the pleasure of witnessing, was Outlaws and Obelisks, which is Three Black Halflings actual play show, which is set in a post-apocalyptic North Africa-inspired Western. And we had Emily Axford on pretty much the whole season. I think she wasn't there for the first 2 season episodes. She came in episode 2 or 3 and then had such a good time that she stuck around for the rest of the episodes. We were like, okay, incredible, we could absolutely have you continue, that's fine. And there is a battle sequence on a train, and it is the most incredible Axfords. I am on the floor, I am down with I think 6 dudes shooting at me or trying to attack me. I have 0 hit points, and because of Emily Axford, not a single person hits me. I do not fail a single death saving throw whilst lying down in between 2 carriages of a train and having 6 dudes attack me.
Yeah.
It was incredible. She's the best. She's absolutely the best.
I sort of got famous, I use that very loosely, on TikTok for being a loud and vocal advocate of Axford supremacy. So you're the first person I've gotten to talk to that not only obviously I'm going to say in Outlaws and Obelisks got a long run DMing of her, not just the 2-parter of NADPod.
It's the best. Emily is the best player out there. I want to be, if I can get to a tenth of what she's able to do, then I will be thrilled. It's incredible.
I mean, I think you have I should say you. I feel like you had the chances this season in Burrow's End, but a lot of times your dice betrayed you in those moments.
Yeah.
But you did at least. I mean, you. I mean, all right. So Burrow's End. We're just gonna jump around now because it feels like the natural transition.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to Rashawn about this. She was obviously a huge fan of Dimension 20. Obviously, you are as well. You're quoting adventuring parties. What was it like to get the call from Abria to be like, "Hey, I want you"?
I honestly, it's still like it feels like a cherished memory, or it's like I basically, what happened, the order of events was, and this is a story I've told a bunch of times, so I won't bore everyone with it like in the most detail, but effectively, like, I went to Big Bad Con last year in San Francisco. I then went to LA afterwards, and I had this thing where I was like, oh, I really want to do a Wakandel one shot. Wakandel is, what if you cross Wakanda and Rivendell into one place? And I did it with B. Dave Walters, Alicia Marie, and then Abria. And I basically... I was staying with Emily and Murph at the time. They were going out of town on a family trip, and so I needed somewhere to stay for like the last night of my trip. And I just said, like, offhand, like, hey, do you guys know of anyone who's got like a sofa I can crash on? And before even like I got the words out of my mouth, Abria was like, come stay with me. So anyway, that was like my first day that I met Abria, and then like a couple days later I was in a house, meeting lovely Suvi and her husband. And we just got along so well. We stayed up like all night chatting, and at the end of the night she was just like, I'm gonna get you in on something this year. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm gonna get you in on something. And I was like, oh, you're just being nice, whatever. Anyway, cut to like February. This is what's honestly one of the craziest days of my life, where Carlos Luna messages me on Twitter and says, dude, do you want to know something crazy? And I was like, yeah, go for it. I'm going to be the new the new series producer of Dimension 20. And I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. Blah, 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 that's amazing. Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I knew way before he announced it. And then in the next message, he was like, oh, by the way, has Brennan emailed you yet? And I was like, has Brennan emailed me yet? No. Why would Brennan email me? Then Carlos falls asleep because it was like midnight in LA. And it was like 8 a.m. for me. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you... So I sent him like 17 messages being like, what do you mean? So anyway, me and my wife are then just all day just being like, what do you think it is? It's probably just an adventuring party, right? It's almost certainly just an adventuring party. They're probably just, loads of people are an adventuring party. It's probably just going to be an adventuring party. Okay, it's fine. It's just an adventuring party. Anyway, and then Brennan finally emails me at like 5 o'clock. So it'd been like 10 hours, something like that, since I'd got this message from Carlos. And then just goes, hey, do you have time for a quick catch up? At that point, I'm freaking out because I'm like, Brennan doesn't have a time for a quick catch up with anyone. He's a busy dude.
They don't let him out. Yeah. They don't let him out of the building.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly. And so, yeah, he then we jumped on a quick Zoom and he's like, hey, we've been like doing some thinking, and Abria is going to be DMing a new series of Dimension 20, and she really wants you. We really want you to be on that series. Would you be? And I was like, yes. Like I felt like I was going to pass out. Like it was just ridiculous. It was like, I mean, the jet, like I know it sounds kind of dramatic in a sense because like the scales are slightly different, but like I liken it to getting cast in like your favorite TV show. Like I genuinely feel like for me, I would have like freaked out less if I'd have been cast in Game of Thrones, because like what Dimension 20 means to me as a person, like it was just like, oh my God, this is like the coolest thing ever. Because and I keep saying this, like I'm just a fan who then got to be in the dome and live like the fans' dream experience, it was genuinely a beautiful moment. And I immediately got back and we cracked open a bottle of champagne and with my wife, and we celebrated. It was awesome.
Yeah, incredible. For those that don't know, Suvi is the name of Abria's dog.
Yes. Yes, Suvi. Abria's character was not at her house.
Yes,
with her. That would have been why. Or Abria wasn't role playing as Suvi around her house.
Worlds Beyond Number, Arc 3, Suvi becomes sentient and
real in the real world.
Yeah, I know Rashawn had a very similar experience of like huge fan of the show that gets the dream call of like, hey, do you want to like come be part of this? And you know, you two kind of like paired off to play partner or husband and
Yep.
wife.
Yep.
And did that help add to your sort of character building of like, oh, at least I've got someone else here who gets like what's happening, the excitement of being here.
I I genuinely think that I couldn't have done it without Rashawn. Like it felt like so perfect that like we had each other's backs, and we're in such similar camps in the sense that we were both so excited to be there. We were big fans, all that kind of stuff. And it definitely helped with like the character building. And honestly, it came about very organically. Like within that character creation process, we were talking about it. We both pitched ideas. The first thing that I pitched was a reluctant cult leader. The first thing that Rashawn pitched was like first lady of the church. And like immediately, I think it was like Brennan was just like, oh, that has to, you know what I mean? It was just like, obviously that has to happen. Like, and so it felt it felt like super organic. And then I don't think either of us realized what like a kind of masterstroke it was, like on our point, from our point of view, to be like, oh, now we also have like an in-game support structure for this very like overwhelming and crazy thing that we're about to do. That we are kind of painfully aware of the scale and like magnitude of this thing, you know. So it was like also pretty amazing to have that like that kind of built in, really, and again, sort of without intention. Do you know what I mean? We didn't kind of set out to do that. It just kind of worked out that way, and honestly, I think it really fed into Thorn and Viola's like actual relationship as well. Like I feel like there was such a genuine care between like myself and Rashawn, you know, making sure that the other person was okay and like could just go in there every day and smash it. And I think that kind of rubbed off on them as characters as well, in the sense that they were kind of like, we'll ride or die for each other. You know what I mean? Like we're in this incredibly difficult situation, and it was like, we have to be able to challenge each other, yes, but we have to be able to like unequivocally support each other in our choices. And that was, it was a delight to play, honestly.
Yeah. She had nothing but glowing things to say about you as well. I'm sure you would have guessed that already. I also love that you two had some of the most dynamic makeup of anyone. Felt very like Rashawn, obviously stunning looks. Well, I guess Abria has probably the most dynamic makeup of anyone.
Yes, sure, literally dynamic. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But I loved the. I mean, I don't know why the touch of the like lightning bolt that came up off of the eyelashes to make like part of the eyelashes white. Such a beautiful look, and I just such an appreciation for. The makeup folks at Dimension 20.
Absolutely.
Did you come in with those big ideas, or how did that collaboration happen?
Yeah, we got we got that kind of approach to be like, hey, are you like wanting or like down to do stuff like this? And I was like, absolutely I am. Please. And I think the makeup folks were like honestly thrilled, because obviously when it comes to like Intrepid Heroes or whatever, they don't tend to like do any of like that kind of stuff. So I think they were like excited to get to do something, get to do stuff, whatever. I was 100% game. And I think between myself and a couple of the makeup folks, we like built out like a mood board type thing with like a couple of things in it. And actually one of my touch points is that like during lockdown, my wife did this like unbelievable David Bowie lightning bolt down my face, you know, like the iconic David Bowie image of the lightning bolt. Like she did that, but honestly, like I'll see if I can find the picture to send to you, because like it was crisp. Like my wife is good at makeup, and it was crisp. It looked so good. And I think I even included that picture of me in the thing, and I was like, oh well, Thorn has this like scar where he got like struck by lightning, and the hair has grown back at like, you know, white and whatever, and he's, you know, kind of got all these other little scars on his body where the hair grows back white and not. In my head, I kind of like the idea that it was like, you know, it sort of one winter, like he just sort of didn't lose the white hair. It just sort of the rest of it came back black, and those didn't. But it was like, oh, that's such like an important signifier for him as a character that it kind of felt like, oh, I need to. It felt like exciting and fun for me to lean into that, and also to like carry an element of that with me whilst I'm playing. And I kind of liken it a little bit to like as an actor, I love getting in the shoes of the character. A lot of actors really enjoy like the feeling of the shoes, just because it shoes inform the way you carry yourself, the way you hold yourself. And I think for this, knowing that the camera was like sort of head and sort of torso, obviously the shoes wouldn't have made a difference, but it felt like having something there that was like a reminder. And actually, like, it sounds weird, but that little flick on the eyelash, I could always kind of just see it on the periphery of my vision. There was always like a little bit of white, and I kind of think it helped. Like, it was like a little reminder of this, like, this kind of visual signifier that he has of his past trauma, but also his power and his strength. And I think like that felt like a very big part of Thorn, is like him harnessing that trauma and turning it into a strength, and leaning into that thing that has made him even reluctantly or involuntarily a leader.
Rashawn also mentioned that I believe it's Denise, who is a Black woman, does the makeup, and
Denise, who I actually call by the end of the series, I actually still do. I saw Denise recently, and I refer to her as my father, just because we were making jokes about parents, and I was like, I don't really talk to my dad, and she was like, I'll be your dad, and I was like, okay. So yeah, I just actively call Denise my father now. So fun little tidbit.
Amazing. Well, speaking of fatherhood, I have my timeline right? Because should be almost a new dad, right?
Almost. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting very, very close. It's crazy.
So like you found out right before you shot Burrow's End?
Yep.
Did cast know that, or was that something that was entirely internalized for you?
Cast found out during the course of like filming, but that was mostly because I couldn't like keep it in. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, it was basically we decided characters like back in the like late February, early March, maybe even earlier, honestly, because I think I got cast like January or something. So yeah, but I think probably February. Then I basically like got married, had the like honeymoon and everything. We came back from our honeymoon, we had 24 hours at home, and then I was flying out to go and start filming on Dimension 20. Well, actually I was going to Convergence, which was like a little TTRPG D&D event in Salt Lake City. I was flying over there for that, and we had 24 hours at home, and my wife had been so ill the whole honeymoon, and I was like, and we got back, did a test, yes, pregnant, and I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to be a new dad, that's incredible. And I remember having one of the most psychotic phone calls with Bria, because I forgot that I had a phone call to talk through character stuff with Thorn with her scheduled at like 5 p.m. We did a test at like 4:45. So, like, I found out, and then, like, 10 minutes later, I was on the phone to Bria talking about Thorn, and I had the most, like, wild energy, because I was just, like, like, trying to process all of this, like, emotion and, whatever. And then, like, I ended up telling Bria, I think, when I went to stay with her, because I was just like, well, you're going to probably hear me having conversations with my phone, like, with my wife, like, every single minute of the day, checking that she's okay, and and so, yeah, I think then during the course of filming, like, most of the cast kind of found out, and, like, I told them and whatever. But it was, like, yeah, quite an incredible sort of bit of, serendipity. Is that the right word? Like, just like this, this blending of reality and the game, and then sort of being like, oh, cool, I guess I'm going to have to process the impending fatherhood in both of these realities that I'm in currently.
I have a 2-year-old, and
amazing. I'm so excited for twos. I really like already. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to have a little toddler.
Yeah, it's incredible. When I interviewed Rick Perry, he came bursting into the door behind me.
Incredible.
But I had this similar sort of not in any way similar experience. We named him Parker after Peter Parker, and I was in like a comic book club, and we were reading a Daredevil run, and like Daredevil had like gone off the deep end and like was really reckless, and Spider-Man shows up and is like, hey man, you got to knock it off. And Daredevil's like, if he's here telling me, then I have to stop because he's the best of us. And and it was like 2 months before my son was born. We knew we were naming him Parker. We hadn't told anyone. I'm crying reading this because I'm like, he's gonna be the best of us. I was curious if you had the same thing when someone says to you in the dome, you're going to be a good dad.
Oh
if
my
that,
God.
Like, hit you as hard as I have to imagine it did.
It was, the thing is, so the weird thing that I had with the dome is that like, I very much, like when I act, I very much have a, like my kind of like acting pool of emotion over here, and then my real world pool of emotion. And basically it's like, there will be bleed, but only when I kind of like allow that to happen, like after the game. You know what I mean? Like I'll after I've done the show or whatever it is. So I'll kind of tap into this pool, this kind of acting emotional pool, and I just kind of won't really register it on like a level. But then, you know, I'll go home and I'll go through a process of like decompressing or whatever, and that's when it will kind of hit me or whatever. So like in the dome, I very much just took it as Thorn, and I was like, yes, this is, you know, feels amazing. This is like, you know, I feel kind of emboldened by this in this moment, And I very distinctly remember getting back to Abria's, and Abria was like, oh, do you want a drink or whatever? And I was like, yeah, can you just give me 2 minutes? I went into the room and just bawled my eyes out for like 2 minutes, where I was just like, oh God, Erica said I'm going to be a good dad. So yeah, it was like a very funny thing. I was like, I very much didn't allow myself to do that like in the dome, because like I was like, they're gonna have to stop filming. Like, you know, it's like I can't do this. I've got makeup on. I can't do this like on camera. Maybe if we were like, you know, up and walking around in the scenes and stuff like that, I might have just like lost it. But yeah, it was I very, very distinctly remember that. And when it came up again the other day, because we got to the episode, I was like, oh yeah, wow, that hit different. That definitely hit different.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful moment, both in game and real world, getting that collision. Yeah. I'm so excited. Yeah, I just saw an article as well that said like dads' brains change as they like basically like paternity leave is really good because your brain literally will like rewire as like you have the baby because you get that like bonding experience. Anyway, I'm very excited for you. I love my 2-year-old. Very excited to go hug him when this is over. That's really
awesome. I literally just hired an assistant so that I can really properly take.
Yeah, I know someone who applied for your job for the job, and you sent a very kind note that was like, "Hey, I found someone else, but thank you so much. Like you just seem so genuine and kind and thoughtful, and I appreciate that."
Look, it costs nothing to be kind to people, and I don't always get it right. You know, I won't pretend that I'm always the best and nicest. You know, sometimes I'll get grumpy. You know, but no, if I can, I'll always be, you know, always try to be kind of gracious. And also, like, so many people took the time and effort to like apply for that job. But you know, I was really quite humbled by the response to it, and like people being like, I just genuinely want to help you because I think you're doing cool stuff. And you know, I was like, geez, that's wow, that's incredibly kind. So yeah, the least I could do is send a nice note or whatever. So yeah,
you are doing cool stuff. I can confirm it here.
Thank you very much. It's it's exciting times for sure.
Yeah. So I don't want to make a weird transition here, but I don't know how else to transition. The bear. What the fuck is Abria's problem? What? Yeah. I mean, how did you react when you saw it?
I can't tell you. Like, I feel like I was a part of a cultural moment, you know, like genuinely, like I was like, I have to be in the chat for the bear scene. Like I was in the Discord chat for the bear scene, the bear like episode, because I was like, I need to witness the meltdown that happens, because it was probably the meltdown that I had. But like getting to be a part of Abria, just like really flexing on the stuff that like she finds like, you know, like in the weeds interesting, you know what I mean? Like, because like all of this stuff I can't tell you how many conversations we had about how well researched everything within Burrow's End is. It all comes from a really like incredible place. Whether it's like how societies form and power structures, like either corrupt or don't corrupt people, or the systems that get that seem to naturally develop in cycles and all of this kind of stuff, like how that all happens. And then the bear, again, I on the car ride on the way home, I said very much the same thing. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I was met with a very well-explained rationale and reasoning as to exactly what that was and how that can happen in real life. Maybe not with a bear and chipmunks to that extent, but like versions of that happen in real life, in nature. And I was like, oh, okay, so we can add that to a list of things I didn't fucking need to know. Like I was happy that being just a fun little thing you threw in a game because you're a bit, intense sometimes. But no, now it's real. Great. That's awesome. That's really great. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't know what's wrong, but I hope that she never fixes it because, God damn it, it's beautiful and everything that she does is incredible. So,
yes, agreed 1,000,000%. Yeah. Yeah, this sort of like interview series came from the bear, where I also a dropout advocate on TikTok, and so I had made a video. I regularly make videos about like, here's what the schedule is this week or whatever. And so when the newsletter had been like, hey, you're not ready for this episode, I was like, what is that? I made a video. I was like, what does that mean? And then Carlos like commented on it and was like, no, but for real, like it's next level. And I was like, I'm upset. And like, I paused the episode while I was watching it to DM Rick Perry for the first time to be like, hey, I want to talk to you about this. This
You're
is
nasty.
wild. And then Abria stitched one of my videos and was like, where's my, cause I was like, I promised basically a reaction. She's like, where's my reaction video? And she hadn't posted in like 7 months. And I was like, now is my moment. I'm grabbing everybody I can. So immediately I was like, Carlos, Abria, KC, like Rashawn, who all can I get that I know will like maybe talk to me about this? Because it was, like you said, like a cultural moment. Like it felt, I know Abria has always described her time in the Dome as a arms race, and boy, does it feel like she's set like a new bar that will be difficult to clear.
It felt like, honestly, I think I said to Abria in the car on the way home, I was like, Abria, you can't have done this off the back of Never After. Like, it really felt like you just said, oh, you think you can do nasty, Brennan? Oh, do you? How cute. Wham! You know what I mean? Like, it was like, I was like, that, like, he's going to take that personally. Like, in the best way. Like, when you've got, like, two like elite sports persons just, like, sound, like, just going off, like, just busting records left to right, and they kind of can't stop themselves. That's genuinely what I feel like we're getting with Abria and Brennan. I'm just sat there like, hey, if I can be involved, if I can be on the team, you know what I mean? Like, that's sick. Like, I'll be the Scottie Pippen. That's fine. I can definitely do that.
Yeah. When I talked to Kelsey Hunter, who made the beating heart of the bear, she had said that like when she saw it open, she saw Brennan's face, and Brennan's face was like, "Oh, we're doing this? Okay."
There was no horror in Brennan's eyes. It was purely like above table. God damn.
Yeah.
Okay. You can hear him cracking his neck and being like, kind of his thumbs just go white under the desk, just texting Rick Perry like, just wait until you see what I have.
All right, junior year, scrap everything.
Exactly. In saying that though, I have actually seen I've seen most of the sets for junior year. Ooh. You're not gonna be disappointed. It's pretty spectacular. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm very excited. Yeah, I think it was Kelsey as well, where I was like, hey, do you want to come chat with me like at the end of junior year? And she's like, you're not going to want to wait till the end. You're gonna want to talk to me multiple times during junior year. And I was like, okay.
Definitely, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it's very cool.
Amazing. But I guess now, as an actual transition, speaking of Brennan and horror, Brennan walked away from the table in what will be this week's episode with, and I quote, "That's too fucking scary." How did you feel in the Dome? when you heard Carlos Luna murdered by Stoats.
Oh my god. Genuinely, that moment was like, I honestly feel like it was the moment where like I was locked in before. I was now like bought in a way in which like you could have told me that like that a nuke had just gone off and I needed to get to a shelter, and I'd have been like, I'm staying in this room and I'm finishing this damn story. You know what I mean? I was like, the only thing that existed in that moment was like, I need to figure out what's going on. I was like, it was so incredible. And what was so nice about it was I was like, this is kind of what like, this is the bit that you don't normally get when you're making the show, right? When you're making the show, it's like you have to kind of like look at the tennis ball on a stick and be like, oh wow, a dragon or whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't get to be seeing the dragon and it breathing fire and causing the destruction, whatever it is. And like, so to be and actually see and hear this like moment was so visceral, like so visceral. And it like I really feel like for all of us, it rooted us in this like absolute truth of what like was going on and the situation and like like how dire it was. It was such an impeccable performance by Carlos, and like the way that Abria made that for us as that like touchstone, as that like thing to really like give us a sense of stakes right before the end, you know, I think was just huge. Because I think that it very easily could have felt like after the first Stoats and everything, I think we could have got to a point where it was like, okay, like, yeah, they're going to come up with a plan and they're going to be fine and it's going to be great. And like, I feel like after hearing that, it was like, oh no, they're in huge trouble. What the fuck is going on? And it just immediately put me back into like, the stakes are 12, you know, out of 10. The situation we're in is bad and we have to figure it out. And like, yeah, it was so beautiful. And we listened to that thing so many times. I haven't actually watched back the episode yet. So I might have to listen to it or watch it again. But like, I listened to it a lot because, or like we got Abria to like replay it a lot because I was trying to like work out what all the sounds and everything were. And I'm so annoyed. I figured it out off camera. We were just like in a break and and Abria played it twice through and I got like a huge part of it. Like there is like a thing in there that you can very much hear if you listen to it. There's like a really big indicator of what is happening, and it's not like as obvious as you might think, you know, if that makes sense. And it was only through listening to it like 3 or 4 times that I was like, and I literally had like that scale reaction. I was like, oh no, everyone get back to the table now. We have to carry on playing. I have to tell something to everyone. But I don't even think that was until like that was in like episode 9 or something. I think that I like figured that. This is
8 is the tape of like Carlos.
Yeah. So I think that's me. So I think it was in a break whilst we were filming episode 9 that I was like, play a couple more times for me, and then I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
it was
awesome. I just blown away with everything Abria did this season. But yeah, that tape was. Like I was sitting here like watching the show and I was like, this is upsetting. And then it just kept getting more and more upsetting.
Final little line
perfect
of
performance from Carlos. Yeah.
They're all so sneaky. I was like, like that was like, that's like when it get your hairs on the back of your neck going, and you're like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. There was definitely a moment where I think you name her in this episode, Phoebe, where I was like, if we hear a voice on the tape that is a Stoat, like if Abria has like put like a Stoat learning to speak for the first time on the tape, I will have to stop the episode right now and like walk around the house because I was very grateful that didn't happen, at least then. And so
okay.
Maybe it does. Maybe it does.
The look of concern, you were like, What?
Oh, I watched it once late last night so that I would have it for today. So
I don't know. Maybe just give it a little listen. Really
okay.
listen to those background noises. You'll see what you
All
can
right.
hear. It's
Oh,
a lot. It's
yeah.
definitely a lot. But
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
no, I completely agree. It's
Yeah.
absolutely wild. And like the final the final combat, I genuinely think is worse than the bear.
Oh, good.
It's worse.
The fun thing for me is I get screeners of the episodes, so I get them like a couple of days in advance.
Sure.
And so like I get to this happened with the Jason edit, where like I saw it, and I described it as I was wearing these headphones sitting at my computer, and I threw back and the headphones just like exploded from my ears because it was so intense. Like I thought the episode had ended, as I think everyone did, like when it cuts to like the blue and then and then like it comes back and you scream 14 and like like everyone loses their mind. Like I had like that one I did have to like walk. Like I had to go for a walk because I was just like so melted. But one of the fun things for me then is I get to then watch everyone else react to the thing that I know is coming, and I don't have to like sync up to be like, oh, I hit it at the same spot as you. Like I just get to watch you all lose your minds about this. That 14, how good did it feel?
I think it really, look, 14 is the new 20. We know this. Okay,
yes,
this is
we all know that.
This is fact now. The beautiful thing about it was like I really felt like I tried, like I very much like on purpose now with my D&D characters like add big flaws in them because I'm like the dice can be fickle and there's nothing worse than trying to play a hero who sucks a bit, and actually like I've said this a few times and I really mean it that like I couldn't be happy with the story that the dice let me tell in this, because even just if my rolls flipped around, right? If I rolled really, really well in those first few episodes and then started rolling badly in these latter episodes, like so much of that of Thorne's story would have been different, like fundamentally, starting off with the Nat 1, during this sort of like dream sequence. I've always described it like that put Thorne on such a back foot. Like I've never played, I don't think, a Nat 1 quite as hard as I played that one, which is that like he was in this moment, he had this moment of sheer panic, like a full panic attack, and then woke up in a nightmare. You know what I mean? Like woke up and the smog was coming and people were dying and all he could think about was his wife. You know what I mean? And like, there's absolutely a universe where I roll a nat 20, I wake up, that smog is there, and I'm like, boom, you go here, you do this, and like the Lakura gets saved. You know what I mean? And like, and I get my wife and everything. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like the narrative journey that it went on, and I loved the fact that like it got to a point where I think so many people, including myself, including Thorne, was like, really, this is the guy that everyone follows? You know what I mean? Like he kind of says the right things, but like he doesn't really do a lot. Like, you know what I mean? And so it was like then, for instance, having the like nat 20 with the elk,
such
probably
an
one of my
amazing
favorite moments. And then Abria like letting me describe what happens was amazing. But then kind of again building to this and that feeling that like, sense from Thorne of like, I have to do this, but I think it just makes so much sense that it was just a 14. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like because he's not a hero. He's never wanted to be a hero. He's always wanted to do his best, do right by people, but he's never liked the power. That was always Viola. It was always Viola that wanted to like, that felt like the necessity here was to gain and cultivate that power and grow. And Thorne was always like, I will
put on the mitre immediately.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Whereas like for Thorne, it was like, I want to go towards the power because every time I go towards the power, I get to save more people. So that was like the kind of the root of it. And I don't even think it was like an altruistic thing from him. It was just more of a like, that's survival. That's what survival is. You know what I mean? And so like the fact that he like just hit a 14, it wasn't a nat 20, it wasn't, even a 19 or an 18 or whatever. It wasn't comfortable. It was like, I just got it. Felt so right for him in that moment of like, straining every sinew in his body, to achieve that, to not achieve something with a great flourish or a great, whatever it is. It's just like, I just have to do this, like pure instinct. I was literally the other day hanging out with some friends of ours who have got a little 1-year-old who's like up and running around now and very with complete reckless abandon, very Jason. And like, he tripped over in front of me, and I just instinctively sort of stuck out a foot and caught him. And I was like, "Oh, my dad's senses are kicking in, right? Yeah. Like there, here it is." And it very much felt the same. It was like, it wasn't particularly graceful. You know what I mean? Like, it was I probably could have done it smoother. You know what I mean? But like, the kid was safe and didn't bang his head on the floor. And I guess in this instance, the kid didn't fall into this soup of, destructive goop.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Although now we know he would have crawled out fine. Oh, I guess Erica also. I love the reveal that Erica was like, "Yeah, I had an action surge." I'm just like, I could have done something. I just didn't want you to know.
This is like above table. This is something that like I preach all the time, which is that, like, especially when you're making an actual play, make the most interesting choice. Don't make the most optimal choice. This kind of goes back to why Emily Axford's like the best player, because Emily Axford, everyone thinks that Emily makes the most optimal choice. She doesn't. She makes the most interesting choice. And it's the same with Erica in that moment. She was like, I know for a fact that I can do this, but maybe actually for the story and for the narrative, something else needs to happen. And then, if Thorn fails and there's something else I can do, maybe I'll jump. You know what I mean? But it's like, in so many scenarios, people would have like jumped all over that moment, and kind of everyone would have bumbled in to do the thing. And actually, it's like, it was just about like a simple, clean narrative being told. And when it comes to like, that's the difference for me between like a home game in which everyone, pile in, everyone do your cool things, do everything you can, versus like a show, which is where you've got to think about like, what's the narrative of this moment? How do I build this moment to be more interesting and more impactful for people to watch and to listen to? And Erica is a seasoned pro at that, and is like genuinely better than most people I know in terms of like sitting at a table and absolutely acknowledging what everyone in this moment needs. And like the fact that they came in with this like this wild, like kind of angry grandma energy was just honestly impeccable. Like, and it matched, and it helped. So I think it was the most interesting choice. Do you know what I mean? It was absolutely the most interesting choice. Huge flowers
this episode.
Erica.
Yes, on top of the deeply upsetting Carlos moment, this episode got the the Ava apology that just destroyed Rashawn at the table.
Wow.
Yeah, that was there are several. I mean, you got the like, just chills.
Truly. I think that like the what I love is, and that someone put this really eloquently on a podcast I was listening to recently, which is that like the larger you get with the story, like the overarching stories, and the like the kind of like size and scale of the problem, the smaller you have to get with like the kind of issues, the thing that's like important to you. You know what I mean? It's like they were talking about the new season of Loki, and how actually like the fact that the season kind of was this huge multi-dimensional whatever it was, but it kind of all boiled down to like Loki doing something for his friends or whatever. You know what I mean? Or like, that's no spoilers. It's just like, that like that's like a big theme of that whole season, right? And I feel like it felt that episode in particular felt that way for me, which is that like this hugely traumatic, things have been happening and like there's this imposing threat, which is like, in terms of like a comparative threat, it's literally the equivalent of like, we know aliens are like by Jupiter now. You know what I mean? And they're huge, and they can be here anytime and just wipe us all out. You know what I mean? Like, that's the scale that like these stoats are dealing with in this moment. So to then have the emotional beats that come back to, we're just a family trying to figure out our own shit, I think is so apt. Like, it feels so important and so like narratively satisfying to like, no, we still have to like deal with this and process this, because we have to, if we don't grow and we don't get better, there's no way that we're going to be able to be ready for what's coming. Instead of just being like, we're just heroes. You know what I mean? We've got all our ducks in a row and we're good. So I absolutely loved those beats. I thought it was just like the perfect timing to sort of have those emotional moments and beats and trying to figure all of that stuff out in the same way that like after the bear, there was the Viola pregnancy reveal. You know what I mean? It was like after this huge, traumatic, awful thing, this realization that these like otherworldly, threats now exist. It was like, what's the most important thing? It's the family. It's it's these tiny little things that are now going to be brought into this world, and how do we figure that out and make it better? I think it's the way that you as an audience are then able to actually connect to the story, because you can't connect to there's aliens outside of Saturn, because we've never lived that. We've never had an other than ourselves, other human beings. There is no like existential threat to human beings. I mean, we could talk about climate change, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
In terms of like a physical, whatever it is, like a physical manifestation of that thing. So, I think that it just felt so damn right.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, a lot of that got pushed forward because of the Brennan reveal of Tula has been dead the whole time, but not really.
I knew it the whole time. I actually did kind of know it the whole time, because I'm Abria at me if this is too much, but Brennan rolled like shit on stats when we first did character creation, like 3 times. And Abria was like, you can re-roll, but you have to take a devil's bargain. Like, you have to, I'm going to basically tell you something. And I actually don't know whether that's what they discussed in that moment, but in my head canon it is. And
I think it sounded like, from the episode, it sounded like that is what happened. Yeah.
That is what happened, right, yeah. I think this actually might have been said out loud, actually. In which case,
Brennan was like, I took a devil's bargain, because...
okay, perfect. Okay, Brennan does actually... Okay, I didn't know whether I was talking out of school then. Okay, that's good. It's honestly so long ago that we did this. Like, me watching the episodes back, I'm like, oh, cool. But yeah, like, I genuinely was like, there's a devil bargain. Okay, that's kind of interesting. And then there was that moment. I think you can see it. I think they leave it in the edit where you see you see there's a moment. There's an insight check from Lila on Tula, and Abria's like she's hiding something from you. And I already had my suspicions because Abria had been like, Abria, like, whilst we were just like getting ready for filming one day on our way in, Abria had made some mention to like, oh, well, not everyone's alive. And I was like, huh? What? Excuse me? Clarify. And then as soon as that happened, there's literally, I think if you watch the episode back, you can see my face go, I'm like, oh no, oh my God. Like, and I was like, okay, I can't say anything. Thorne has no idea. He is not perceptive, or particularly insightful. So, keep a lid on it. But yeah, wow, what a reveal. Crazy.
Yeah. That was another one where I had watched the episode early, and then I just I couldn't even tell people to be like, wait till the cliffhanger, because that felt like such a shitty thing to be like, just wait till those last couple of seconds. So I just had to be like, pretty normal episode this week, gang. And then people were like, what?
How could you? You betrayed us. You should have told us. I do the exact opposite. I'm always like, get ready. I'm always telling people that there's something coming up because it's fun. I like doing it.
It's very fun. You're always telling people Percy Jackson.
Is still one of my favorite things to have come out of this. Was me chaotically convincing everyone on Twitter, and it went like big. Like a lot of people took what I did as absolute confirmation that it was Percy Jackson, and it was so funny as well because I wasn't even I hadn't even been announced that I was in the thing yet.
Right.
But people were like, "Wait, I know that Jasper's friends with people that are in D20, so he probably knows. And I was like, well, why would I tell you? Like, why would I just straight up? I retweeted the Percy Jackson trailer with the same emojis, and people lost their minds. It was, man, that was so much fun.
It was delightful. I don't know if anyone on cast was like, hey, people are going to think this is Percy Jackson, or if it was just like a wild coincidence, because I made a video where I was like, it's not Percy Jackson, gang. You're just looking at the lightning bolt, the blue. And someone was like, blue is actually very important in Percy Jackson. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry.
Trees,
I didn't know.
Jordan.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I Googled like blue Percy Jackson. It had like its own Wikipedia entry. And I was like, oh, okay, I can see why you got here. I don't think it's right, but I can see how you got here. Yeah. I was one of the people who was like,
I did panic at one point and going, wait, is it not my season next? Like, is it something? Is it Percy Jackson? Like, there was a moment people were convinced, and they were setting out some pretty convincing arguments. I think I even changed my name on social media to Percy Jackson at one point as well, which was very funny.
Yeah, I love Zach Oyama hopped in. If you recall, it was like I don't know what we're talking about, but like just threw like an eyeball emoji. It was so funny.
Me and Zach, I think, were actually like sat together whilst that was happening, because we were planning Rotating Heroes at the time. We were like sat there eating some like Chinese food or whatever, and then it was like he was like, "Huh." I'm just gonna, and I was like, Zach, what have you done? Like, because it was like a fun little joke for me, and then I was like, no. Now you're actually gonna get like, you've just confirmed for thousands of people that it's Percy Jackson.
And Zach's in it, and
Zach's in it, and
you're in
Percy
it.
Jackson,
Oh man. Yeah, a similar thing happened when Abria was like, I don't want to tell you who the cameo is because it would be cheesy. And everyone was like, it's Zach Oyama. He's going to, because he played Colin Provolone in the Ravening War. They'd forgotten about Cheese, my favorite good pirate boy. And like he's going to come in. He's going to be like, Lila and Jason's dad is really alive. And it's going to be Zach and he's going to join the table. And I was like, you all have lost your minds. Like,
I mean, the thing is, sometimes I'm sat there going, that would have been cool though. I'm like, I mean, that would have been pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. We are like coming up on the hour. Thank you so much for talking to me. I know we did not make a million questions in. We made a lot of questions in though, and that's delightful. If people want to come see your trolling on the internet, where can they find you?
Yes, please come and see me, because I won't stop now that I've got this sort of reputation for being a little chaos gremlin online. It's definitely the best way to be. So please, check out JW_Cartwright on all of the social medias, except for TikTok, because they won't let me put an underscore in there. I don't know why I have an underscore in there anyway. It's just like I've got used to saying the underscore part of it, so I've just kept it. But yeah, it's just JW Cartwright on TikTok, which I'm doing more of, Jordan. Like, it's actually happening. I am making the TikToks.
I love your content. I'm there for it.
I'm gonna make another one tonight. And maybe I'll make one for you and be like, I just spoke to Jordan Brown. It was cool.
Thank you so much.
This was lovely. So yeah, follow me there. Check out Rotating Heroes through like Halflings. All the stuff I'm doing. I'm even working on a new podcast, which I'm very, very excited about. Which I just decided I was going to do the other day, and I'm now just doing it
because you have all the free time.
Because yes, I don't, but I feel that there are too many things outside of my own control in my life, and starting a new show is something that I can control, so I'm just going to do it anyway.
There you go.
Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. And honestly, any excuse to talk about Burrow's End, because I'm going to be dining out on this for probably the rest of my life, because especially if they don't ask me back, I'm just going to be like, cool, I did this thing, and it was the dopest thing ever, and I'm going to never shut up about it.
You should never shut up about it, and they're definitely going to ask you back.
We'll see. I was pretty nasty off camera.
I am confident.
I was pretty difficult off camera, so you never know. You never know.
That is what Rashawn said in her interview.
Yeah,
she was
exactly.
like, on camera, so nice. Off camera, just yes.
I made Brennan do my laundry for no reason. Just because, power.
Yeah, that tracks. Gosh, thank you so much,
dear.
Jasper. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait for the final 2 episodes, and thank you for joining me.
Don't say final 2. It makes me sad.
Until the sequel, the final 2 episodes of this season.
Yes.
Yeah, another thing I accidentally said the words on this season of Burrow's End instead of this season of Dimension 20. And someone was like,
Ooh.
do you know that there's a sequel coming? And I was like,
Hilarious.
I just misspoke.
Misspoke.
I have no information. And they're like, but yes, until the sequel. Or whenever you're in the dome running your own campaign, which obviously should happen. Carlos, you'll see this video. Get to happen.
Carlos, listen, look at me in my eyes. I'm ready. Tag me in. I'll do anything, honestly. Genuinely, I'll do anything. Like literally anything you want. I'll do your laundry.
Thank you, Jasper.
Thank you so much.